Hey there, welcome back to the Meat Thinker channel. I've done a few pork butts on my pellet smoker before, but this will be my very first pork butt on my Brazos offset. Of course, when I try out new things on my Brazos, I always run into interesting situations that make my cook session very interesting. I'll show you what happened, so let's get to it. I can think of a few good things about smoking pork butts. One, if you're new to the smoking game, pork butt is one of the best cuts of meat to start with because of its forgiving nature. You can have a few temperature spikes or drops during the cook and still yield decent results. Two, price. If you just happen to mess up the pork butt, which is unlikely, it won't hurt your wallet as much. You can go get another one and give it another try. And three, flavor. I don't think this needs any explanation, but who doesn't like the flavor of smoked pork butts? It is a very delicious cut of meat that can turn into many different menu items: sandwiches, tacos, nachos, baked potato topping, and the possibilities are endless. But the downside of cooking pork butt is the overall cook time. It will take about 90 minutes to 2 hours per pound if you go with the low and slow method. It still doesn't really matter if you're firing up the smoker and have a great time, right? So my wife called one afternoon to ask if I needed anything from Costco. So I asked her to pick up a package of pork shoulder. Looking back on my previous cooks, I realized I have never bought a pork shoulder from Costco before. But it's all the same, right? Well, not really. When I got home, my wife told me the pork shoulder package was about $42. Then I asked myself, why would that cost so much? That's because it was a 16-pound package that contained 2 pieces of pork shoulder. Now, that's a lot of meat to cook and eat, but that wasn't the only surprise. After cutting open the package, I realized this was a boneless package. That's right, I don't get to have that satisfaction of pulling out that fat piece of bone to see how well the pork shoulder was cooked. Plus, the meat was pretty cut up, so I wasn't sure if I could smoke this meat just like the normal pork shoulder. So I decided to do 2 things with this cook. First, I decided to cook both at the same time and use 2 different types of seasoning to see the difference in taste when complete. Second, I will leave the meat alone and cook them as is, even the meat is cut up from the bone removal. Fresh out of the package, the meat was pretty much ready for seasoning. The bone was removed and fat was trimmed. I really didn't have much left to trim at all. So I went ahead and pat dried the meat and had it ready for the yellow mustard binder. I used the H-E-B brand yellow mustard and squirted them gently all over. Then I seasoned the first one with Big Mo Casein brand pork rub. Seasoned them inside and out, including the cavity created by the bone removal. Don't be afraid to go heavy on the seasoning simply because this is a large piece of meat. Go crazy on it and it looks good and smells good. Moving on to the second pork shoulder. This time I'm using my old trusty SPG. Kosher salt, coarse ground black pepper, and garlic powder in the ratio of 1, 2, and 2. Make sure to cover all sides and go heavy on this as well. With the amount of black pepper, it will help building that nice bark. Now it's time to start the smoker. My target cooking temperature is 250. Build a coal bed with the first batch of splits and the smoker is ready to go with less than 5 degrees of difference across the grate. I have the firebox door completely closed with the vent open only about halfway. The stack damper is open about 2/3. At least for me, this is the current setting that helps me keep the temperature steady at 250. Place the meat in the smoker. The cook start time is 8:30 p.m. (11:30 p.m.), 3 hours in. The overall color is mahogany on the surface, a little tight to touch. 2 a.m., 6 hours in. I see the bark forming. 4:30 a.m., 8 hours in, the bark is set and looking pretty good. The internal temperature reached about 177. It's been a long morning, so I'm going to wrap this up and finish the cook. Oh yeah, please check this out. Nice big juicy chunk of pork shoulder. You can smell the smoke from this nice dark bark. I can't wait to get a sample of this. "7 a.m., 11 hours and 30 minutes in. It's a probe tender and the internal temperature is a little over 200. Remove from the heat and bring them inside for resting. I did 2-hour rest and it is now time to see how it turned out. Let's open up both and check out the appearance. Both looked almost identical in terms of its color and thickness of the bark. The only difference would be the one on the right that shows the ground black pepper. I'll pull out a small portion for a taste test. How is it? And my kid approves it. The SPG flavor mixed with the smoke flavor turned out to be perfect. Moving on to the Big Mo seasoned pork shoulder. I'm taking out the money muscle. It pulled right out with no resistance. Nice smoke ring with the bark. It tastes pretty awesome too. After tasting both, I can't really tell you which is better. I would eat both depending on what flavor I am craving that day. They're equally good and which rub you use is pretty much up to you. If cooked properly, it will turn out excellent no matter what. Next up is my favorite part of cooking pork shoulders, shredding. Something about digging your hands to crush it and shredding the meat is so satisfying. I hope you enjoy watching that too. Just one side note, this was my very first time smoking boneless pork shoulder and I was worried about how it would turn out. But again, it is very forgiving cut of meat. Just add more seasoning and you will love how it tastes. There you have it. What's your favorite rub for your pork shoulder? And do you prefer boneless or bone-in pork shoulder? Please share with us in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my Instagram handle at MeatThinker. Thank you for watching and keep meat thinking.